Is technology at your work distracting you from actual work? Do you spend too much time troubleshooting PC or internet issues? IT Enabled can help. Our team of IT specialists can help you tackle your technology troubles and get you focused on growing your business in no time. Call to schedule your technology consultation. 936-225-3329. IT Enabled. We're here to help.
Hi, I'm Tara Watson-Watkins, President and CEO of the Lufkin Angelina County Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the Connect podcast, connecting business to community. I'm here with my co-host Blake Pollino with BP Media Group.
So we're back this week with another really great resource for small businesses in Angelina County and in our area in general. We've said and kind of joked throughout this podcast that this next guest should probably have been a sponsor as much as we've talked about them. But we had a great sit-down conversation with Dianne Amerine, and she is the director of the Small Business Development Center at Angelina College. And we just learned how great of a resource this is for small businesses that are just getting started. If you need to learn how to make a business plan, how to do accounting, just really anything involving business and getting that started, this is a fantastic resource for you. And we're super excited to sit down and talk with her here in this episode.
We're thrilled to have Dianne Amerine, who is the new executive director of the Small Business Development Center at Angelina College. Dianne, I have to tell you that we're so excited to have you here today. We've been doing these podcasts since September, and almost every single podcast, somebody says the Small Business Development Center. So we're thrilled to have you on here. We cannot wait to hear about really what the Development Center does. But first, let's just start by telling all of our viewers and our listeners, why don't you tell them about yourself and your background?
Okay. Well, I was actually born in Lufkin. My family is a long-term family here, but I didn't grow up here.
Okay.
My dad was a minister, so we moved around a good bit, and I spent most of my childhood in Nacogdoches.
Okay.
And I graduated from Nacogdoches High School, and after a couple of years of college, my husband graduated. We moved to Houston, so we were away for a number of years, but our goal was always to come back to Lufkin once we had our family, and at least by the time they were in school. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did, and we came back here and had a CPA practice for a number of years, did some real estate development, and just got involved in lots of different things in the community. So I guess my background includes that, and as well as real estate and retail and the hospitality industry.
Nice. This is the perfect fit for you.
Yes, it is the perfect fit for me. I love small business, and had a lot of years of dealing with small business clients, so got a real understanding of what small business is like in our area.
Right.
Which, of course, is unique. Every area is unique,
That's
right?
right. So before you became the executive director, though, you worked at the SBDC.
I did.
Yeah.
I worked there for a little over 5 years with
Okay.
Larry Kane, and got to know the business community here and what the function of the SBDC is, and how that integrates with the overall plan of SBDC plus our host, Angelina College, and our community, of course. And we serve a 5-county area, and some fringes among that, because some of the centers that would be assigned to those areas are long distance off. So a lot of times it's just about geography and being close and being plugged in to the particular climate of our community.
Right. So for those of you listening that are not familiar with the acronym SBDC, it's the Small Business Development Center. Want to make sure that you definitely know what we're talking about. And,
Right.
Tell us what you do there. How do you help people?
Well, we help pre-venture clients, people who are wanting to start a business. We help people who are in business to grow and expand their businesses, and or to do some business management counseling if things are not going well and they need to make a little shift. And then we also help people with their exit plan. A business is like anything else. It has a life cycle. So we're involved in all stages of that. A lot of our work is with helping new businesses start and grow, which, basically includes a business plan, lots of research, trying to determine if what they want to do has a chance of succeeding, we want to capitalize on that. If not, we want to redirect or look at other things.
Right.
So kind of walk us through what that process looks like for someone. We just before we started recording, I was just telling her that this is probably something that would benefit us. You know, we started a business in 2017. We're still very new and very young in business, and I'll be really transparent about it. Like our policy for our mantra for our first year of business was jump first and we'll learn to fly on the way down, which is probably the
Not the right
opposite.
thing.
Yeah, not the right thing, and probably very the opposite of what you teach there. But so what does that process look like? So let's say someone is interested in starting a business or is already running one. So how does that work when they come to you? And you said you go through business plans, and what does that process look like?
Well, we have an interview, get to know one another, get to figure out what the objectives are, what the personalities are, and then we start a business plan. For most of our clients is used to get funding, although it's a living organic instrument that changes over time as the business changes and grows. But the components of it are sort of like you have a resume, an executive summary, which is who I am, why I'm qualified to do what I want to do, what my experience is, what my education is, how all that fits together to facilitate the business that I'm wanting to start. So that's the first part. And then we go through the research phase, which one of the great things about working with the Small Business Development Center is we have access to some really good research tools like Research USA, SBDC Network, IBIS World, some really good resources that we can drill down and see what the business industry that you're interested in has done nationally, statewide, and then on down to the local level if that's applicable. So we have that piece. We help you develop your mission statement, your objectives, your strategic plan. So that's all the narrative part. And that really focuses the business owner on some critical thinking rather than just, I have a great idea, I've always wanted to have a restaurant. Well, that's good, and you're the best cook in East Texas, but so we need to look at some other factors. And then we also do a financial projection. If it's a new business, we discuss the startup cost and where the funding is going to come from, what your credit looks like, what a lending institution or investor would want to look at as far as your part, your contribution. And then we schedule out the revenue, the expenditures, the projected cost and personnel, how that looks and how that figures in. So by the time we've finished, we've developed an idea from an idea into a plan. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what we do to get started on that. We don't do the work. Mm-hmm. We assist. Right. The client does the work because it's the client's business. Mm-hmm. Right. I can give you a plan, but that would be your plan.
Right.
So we need to know what your plan is and how you want your business to look. I tell my clients that I like to play the devil's advocate. I will put up a lot of negative thinking, not because I don't like your idea or I think you're wrong. I just want you to think in a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And
it has to become business and not emotional.
It does. It has to be business. And then the other thing I like to tell them is many times we get referrals from bankers who have a customer that needs a business plan, mm-hmm. and they don't know how to write it. And so that's where a lot of that comes from. So I tell that client that my goal is to answer every question that the lending institution would have. When they get the business plan, I want them to have to really dig to find a question that's not answered in there, a question about the client, a question about the business and could it be a viable business, and then all of the financial projection questions. And I like to include a lot of photographs with the equipment list so that they really know what this person is wanting to buy and that they've really looked at it, that it's not just, oh, yes, I need a trailer or I need an oven or a reach-in cooler. No, that they've really looked and they know what they need for this particular business. So that's
I think one of the things that's so important about this is that all that you do is for free.
it is.
There is absolutely no charge. And so to be able to assist our community and county with that for free, that's just
And
amazing.
The other part of that is we sometimes have clients come in that are not they're not capital ready. They're not ready. They're just in the ideation stage. And so we do offer education. We have, through our network and through Angelina College, we have lots of webinars, courses, just interesting things to help a person get better directed and educated and make a good decision. And for our ongoing business concerns, lots of really good stuff about marketing, about strategic planning. One of the big ones right now with COVID is about human resources and how that has changed.
That's right.
So it's a good place to go, and those most of the webinars are recorded. There are a few live ones, especially on current topics, the IDLE and BBB and things that are changing
Daily.
hourly.
Hourly.
But the recorded webinars are great because you can listen in your car or at your
right.
leisure. You don't have to schedule a time during your workday.
That's right.
One of the questions, so I think the first month that we did the podcast was about business development, and we would ask each of our guests, what is a resource in our community that you would recommend? And almost 100% said that they recommended you guys. But to kind of ask that same question, and I think I stopped asking that question after a while because it was just it was the same answer every time, which is great for y'all. But what would you say is a resource or somewhere that you're pointing new business owners or your clients to most often?
Well, we cannot refer or recommend businesses, but I can give people a list of places to go. With the startups, usually the questions are always about government certifications. So, that's just links to websites and whatever. But then you get into, we can't give legal or accounting advice, even
Right.
if we are a lawyer or a CPA. We can't. It's not in our scope. So, what I often say is, it's been my experience in the past that having worked at a CPA firm, that a lot of people start a business and they have no idea that at the end of the year, when they have been successful, and some people are successful from the get-go, that they're going to owe a 15% self-employment tax.
Right.
And they're so happy with their great year until I say, well, you're going to have like a $20,000 tax bill. What?
That they weren't planning on.
They weren't planning on that. And suddenly the good year doesn't look so good.
Absolutely.
So I do say from the beginning, it's very critical to get good accounting advice. Timing is everything when you make purchases as an ongoing business. And so, I will say there are lots of firms in town. You need to find
One
where
for you.
you're comfortable, what fits you.
Yeah.
It's like shopping for a doctor. It's like shopping for a lawyer. You assume, and rightfully so, that people who are licensed and certified know what they're doing, but the real thing is the relationship.
Right.
Can I really relate to you? Because I'm going to have to tell you some personal things.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some hard advice sometime along the road, and some guidance. I think that's the key. Mostly is just guidance. Almost every client I get is smart, has looked through their stuff. I mean, there's some that aren't, but most of them are. But it's just like with all of us. What they don't know is what they don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I often say that's really my job, is just to listen and ask the right questions, because they have lots of information to give me, but they don't necessarily know how to articulate that.
Right. Don't know what they don't know.
They don't.
And I have to echo that. In our time in business, one of the biggest benefits that we've seen financially was going to someone to do our accounting. I mean, you see that in small business. It's normally one of the first hires people do if they can have an in-house accountant. And for the first year or two, I thought, I can do this. I can do the accounting. I can do the the payroll and the taxes and all of that. And then the first, I think maybe month that we were using an accountant for our business, it was just eye-opening, like everything that I didn't know and everything that it saved us, and beyond paid for itself. So that's really, really great advice.
Money well spent.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So you have helped countless businesses. Can you tell us about one of your favorites?
Oh, well, it's always good to have a success story.
Yeah.
We have several local favorites, and usually our services are free and confidential, but once it's ever been published, then we can talk about it.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
But Brittany Vinson with Tomei is one of our favorite clients, because Brittany had a vision and a dream, but worked as hard on her plan as she does in her business. You know, she was ready and prepared and had done her work, and it's evidenced in the outcome. Another is Schaefer Funeral Home. You know, that's a unique kind of business and requires a lot of planning, and he was the same way. You know, he really did his work. And then we have others that are just really small businesses. You know, it may just be them and their spouse that runs the business, but they do a great business. So it's always fun to talk about the ones that people know, but there are others.
It's just good to see people succeed.
It is, and you know, I think that's where my heart is, because when I came back here, you know, we were here a number of years before our income level got back to where it was when we decided to leave the city. And that included doing a lot of businesses. And that's what I find with the people that come to see us. I'm really proud of the people of Angelina County, because typically they're hardworking, they're innovative, they're really not afraid. And part of that comes from our culture, I think, in that we do support one another in this community. You know, we see a small business, we want them to succeed.
That's right.
Yeah,
we want them
absolutely.
to.
That's right.
They're our neighbors, they're
That's
our
right.
family, and it all plays into our whole community.
I think we've really seen that through COVID. You know, that's one thing the chamber has really pushed is small business and supporting your neighbors. And because if you do support a small business, you do keep a neighbor employed. And we want our community to grow, and we want it to have the charm of the small businesses, even when we're bringing in large industries. The things that those wives especially are looking for are the small businesses and the charm and feel of it. So,
And I think, I may not get it exactly right, but I know you often give a statistic about 60-something% of a dollar that's spent locally
right.
stays in our county.
that's right.
And I think that's such an important message. You know, does a few dollars mean that much to you, or does your community mean that much
That's
to
right.
you? You know?
Keep your money where your heart is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because we have something special here. That's why
do.
we all live here.
That's right. That's right.
We have a choice.
Well, we're so excited to have you here and to tell people more about what you do. And, you know, is there anything else that we haven't asked the right question that you want to tell people about what the SBDC does? And
Well, I'll just say that for the present time, for a limited time only, we have some extra funding. Typically, the things I've told you about are our core funding. That's what we're here to do. That's what we do on a regular basis. But because of the COVID pandemic and the negative effect it's had on lots of people in lots of different ways, we've been able to hire a staff that's funded through that will be with us temporarily to assist with we have 2 contractors that work in the finance area. A lot of people have had to pivot in their businesses, and one that I can think of is somebody who was in the travel agency business, and insurance. Well, I'm sorry, but the travel agency business died last March, and if that's all you had, it was a dire time for you.
Yeah.
So that person pivoted over into insurance. But, you know, how do you reconcile all of that because you just stop one day and start something else. So it's good to have somebody come in and look at that and advise in those situations. I will tell you of one person in our service area that had a healthcare, home health type business. And she's been our client for a number of years and has done very, very well. But she took out a PPP loan the first go around, and she spent it trying to hang on to her therapist. Well, because she didn't want to rebuild a new team, but they couldn't go in and give therapy. So she spent the money, had no revenues. So was really panicking about cash flow, which is where the finance people come in to help with that situation. And one of those contractors was assigned to her, got some stuff restructured, got her debt restructured, got her going in a different trajectory with the same business, but out of the fear mode, because what happens when we get afraid is sometimes we just get paralyzed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she could have lost a business that she spent 10 years building.
That's right.
And instead, she hasn't. So that's one of the things. We don't typically, have the staff to really do an in-depth thing like that. But she got that assistance. And then the main one is, or not the main one, but an interesting one, is we have a marketer because, graphics and all that are so expensive. And for a struggling company that's been impacted by COVID to be able to have somebody come help with their webpage design, get them going with a little different something on social media or some of the free platforms is very beneficial because they're strapped for money.
That's right.
So we're really
Those are
happy to offer
fantastic.
that.
Great.
And that's outside our normal scope. So
Wow.
we don't know how long we'll have that, but for right now we do.
So if you are a struggling business that's been greatly impacted, make sure that you take advantage of all of this because
Please do.
these are resources that we have that aren't going to last forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate
it. For letting us in on all the secrets of the SBDC.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We feel like you guys have basically been a sponsor of the podcast since the beginning since we talked about it. But tell us where people can find you. So people who are interested in these services, how do they go about getting started, or where do they reach out to?
Okay, actually, our offices are currently open for face-to-face. The entire campus is not, but our building is. And so you can reach us at Angelina College. We're in the Community Services Building over by Temple Theater. And so we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You can reach us by the phone, 936-635-5400. And or you can just Google up Small Business Development Center, Angelina College, and it will connect you to us.
That's great.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate
Thank
you
you.
coming in and sharing all this just awesome information with us. And we want to thank you for listening to the podcast again this week. We thank you so much for listening and tuning in every week. If you'd like to watch the video version of this podcast, it is available on the Chamber Facebook page and the Chamber YouTube channel. And we will see you next week.